So now we're allowed to talk for real about this f***ing guy without getting censored? Huh. Okay. Let's do it. Fauci! Public enemy number one or public savior number one? You be the judge. In light of Facebook's recent announcement that they'll no longer be censoring speech about the possibilities of the coronavirus being made in a lab, we're now allowed to look at the potential blood on Fauci's reptilian hands. But first, I would like to publicly condemn Facebook for lifting their ban. They're supposed to be a company dedicated to protecting the public from free speech, truth, and common sense. Back to Fauci. Serious questions and evidence is being considered that suggests the pandemic that Dr. Fauci is advising the nation on how to handle may have been caused by Dr. Fauci. Let's dive in. The Wuhan lab in China was running gain-of-function research on coronaviruses. Gain-of-function research means manipulating coronaviruses so that they can infect humans more easily and become more lethal. Obviously a necessary and helpful cause for the betterment of humanity. Did Fauci, who's the head of the NIH, use taxpayer money from the NIH to fund this research? Well, shockingly, Fauci says no.
Do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect.
I, for one, believe him. Unfortunately, the evidence accidentally suggests otherwise. If you want to get technical, Fauci's NIH funded Dr. Peter Daszak at EcoHealth Alliance, who served as a middleman that then funded the Wuhan lab. Specifically, Dr. Shi at the Wuhan lab. Dr. Shi herself has even listed Fauci as a funder of her gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. While Fauci denies... Whoops, didn't mean to show that headline. While Fauci denies funding the gain-of-function research in Wuhan, he does admit to funding the Wuhan lab. But he trusts that the Chinese Communist Party wouldn't use his funding for gain-of-function research at the very same lab. Watch as Anthony responds to Senator Kennedy.
So you don't think the Chinese would lie to you? You think all the scientists have told the truth in terms of the origin of the Wuhan virus and not been influenced by the Communist Party of China, do you?
I don't have enough insight into the Communist Party in China to know the interactions between them and the scientists, sir.
Well, here's some of the interactions between the Communist Party and the scientists, sir. Communist Party silences doctors over the true coronavirus origin. The Chinese Communist Party made the whistleblowing doctor disappear. China arrests hundreds for speaking out about the coronavirus origins. Also worth noting that the Chinese Communist Party is currently running a genocide. It seems like the Chinese Communist Party doesn't have any influence over the doctors and scientists that they rule. Given that all this information is on public display, it's understandable that Fauci doesn't understand what the interactions are like between the Chinese Communist Party and the doctors and scientists that they rule over. It's also worth considering that Fauci is probably able to see trustworthiness, nobility, and honesty in the Chinese Communist Party. Because after all, he's a doctor and you're not. So it's probably better for you to trust his perspective rather than the evidence that you can see. Fauci still maintains that it's very unlikely that COVID-19 was man-made in a lab and very likely came from an animal in the wild.
More likely that this is a natural occurrence, as has happened with SARS-CoV-1, where it goes from an animal reservoir to a human.
Indeed, very likely that it came from a bat. Just coincidentally in the exact same city that houses the Wuhan lab that Fauci funded, that happens to be doing gain-of-function experiments on the coronavirus in communist China. By comparison, the SARS-1 host animal was identified within 4 months. The MERS host animal was identified within 9 months. With the current virus, no host animal has been identified after 16 months. So it probably came from an animal. Though no animals have been found that could have passed the virus to humans, a lab has been found that could have passed the virus to humans, which is further evidence that it likely came from an animal. And in an act of good science, the Chinese Communist Party refuses to allow the Wuhan lab to be investigated. Further evidence that supports Fauci's position that the virus likely came from an animal in the wild is that it was recently leaked out that in November of 2019, right before the official outbreak, Wuhan Lab's staff had to go to the hospital with COVID-like symptoms, with mounting evidence that Fauci may have caused the very pandemic that he's tasked with protecting the nation against. Republican lawmakers recently introduced the FIRED Act, seeking to remove Fauci from his position immediately. This has no merit, as these Republicans are obviously just trying to incite riots at the Capitol. Here are some fun Fauci facts. Fauci has never been elected to anything. He is known as the nation's top immunologist, which is not a title he won or earned. It's just something he's repeatedly called. He is a very young 80 years old. Fauci thinks it's a good idea to wear 2 masks after being vaccinated. He is as athletic as he is honest. Just watch him throw a baseball. We at the media trust Fauci. We also like to convey the image that the public unequivocally loves and trusts Dr. Fauci as well. And when you go directly to public opinion on the White House YouTube channel, any video with a good doctor shows a monumentally high dislike ratio, which is typically how the public shows their trust. So is Fauci public enemy number 1 or public savior number 1? We think it's clear, when you pay attention to the propaganda while ignoring the evidence, he is indeed public savior number 1. So much so that we consider him Saint Fauci, always preaching the gospel of fear. In conclusion, you may not like the coronavirus, or the fact that Fauci funded the lab that may have created it, but at least he used your tax money to do it. And if you're crazy enough to not love that, then at least Fauci is still at the head of advising you and the rest of our nation on how to handle a disease that he may have paid to create with your money. If an arsonist set your house on fire, would you task him with putting the fire out? Of course you would. Trust us, you'd be in the safest hands possible. Good night! Oh hey, all new Fauci is public enemy number 1 shirts are available in my online shop now at awakenwithjp.com. Don't tell anybody I told you. Here's an unmistakably fact-checked true statement. I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Primal Life Organics. Primal Life Organics is by far my favorite natural oral care company. And today I want to tell you about their red blue LED light teeth whitening system. Do you know studies show you are 58% more likely to land your dream job if you have a whiter smile? And you're 53% more likely to earn a generous salary. And in the dating scene, 96% of single men and women say that not having a white smile is a deal breaker. But not to worry, Primal Life Organics is here to save the day. And your smile. Personally, I love having a white smile because it helps me hide my ugliness with my beauty. But here's the crappy thing about most teeth whitening products. Usually they contain peroxides, which might help whiten your teeth, but the problem is they actually damage and denature your teeth. And nobody wants to look like a crack addict just with white teeth. But the Primal Life Organics teeth whitening system is all natural and doesn't contain any damaging peroxides. Here's the beautiful part. The blue LED light on the mouthpiece works to whiten your teeth. The red light works to soothe your gums and reduce inflammation. And both at the same time does both at the same time. And it works simultaneously with the food grade teeth whitening gel. So you're ensured you're gonna effectively whiten your smile in a way that's healthy and natural for your body and your mouth. Nothing damaging to your teeth or harmful to your body. That's why I love the Primal Life Organics teeth whitening system. Now what I said was, normally this kit is $449, in my opinion worth every penny, but when you use my link you get a full 60% off, so it's yours for just $199. To get your Primal Life Organics teeth whitening system, just go to naturalteethwhiteners.com/JP.